Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Because Football podcast. This is your host, Andrew. Today, our guest, Henry Knight. He's the community football coordinator and assistant coach of the Port Vale women's first team. Henry, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Andrew. No, thank you for having me. I can't wait to be on.
Absolutely. So for some people who have maybe watched more consistently, the trend, the connection between myself and the Vale is obvious, right? So very fortunate to have created this relationship and got to meet more great people part of the club like yourself. So really excited to chat more about the work you do with the foundation. I know you said you've got a lot of camps this week. You've had the kids in for their half-term camps, and then excited to talk more about, women's football as well in the UK. But before we get to that, I want to get to know you. And one of the best ways I know how to do that is by asking the question, what is your earliest memory of football?
My earliest memory of football, I was trying to think back of this when you initially kind of said about what my earliest memory is, and I'm sure it was around 2005, so I'd have been about 6 years old.
Okay.
Mum and Dad had tried to get me into absolutely every sport possible apart from football, and my dad came home with FIFA 06 one day, and we played a game of FIFA. I'm sure I think I picked Arsenal because it was the first team that came up. Saw that Thierry Henry was on there, saw Henry, and that was like, right, that's it now. I'm hooked on this sport. And so then Dad took me to a lot of either football games. It would have been absolutely anybody we could go and watch at the time, but just a lot of playing football in the garden and say joining football clubs from probably about 7 or 8 years old, playing and just enjoying it for many years after that.
Amazing. Was that your first kit then, the Henry Arsenal kit?
I never had an Henry Arsenal kit, and I'm still waiting to get one now. I'm hoping every birthday or Christmas that I get one, but I never ended up getting one. I went to the Emirates when Henry came back from the MLS to try and get a shirt, but say it's sold out, and I had to settle with a Jack Wilshere one then. I'm not an Arsenal fan, but just to say Henry kind of the love for the game, so I've always got that little bit of love towards Arsenal, but yeah. Purely Thierry Henry, just magic.
Cool. That's a FIFA memory. I think that's a first for like the first time that we've had a FIFA one worked in there. It's definitely, a formidable part of a lot of our, generations and stuff, like their love for the game, especially in the US. FIFA was really big for growing the game and just getting people more familiar with players as well. So then that at that point you caught the bug for football. You're finally getting into it. And what did some of your journey look like to then reaching the point where, like, okay, I actually want to coach?
It's an interesting one. So I grew up really, really far away from Stoke-on-Trent itself, about 2-3 hours away, and played football up until the age of 18. And it was always thinking, right, what am I going to do next? 18 years old, and it's kind of, I speak to parents, speak to my mum and dad, and my mum was like, right, let's go play football. I can't play football, so go coach football or try to do something within football because you'll enjoy it. We moved up to Stoke when I finished, my education and joined Stoke City as a casual community coach.
Okay.
There kind of was coaching absolutely anything, whether it be football, whether it be any kind of sports, just kind of understanding what it means to start coaching. And I'd say probably about a year into it, I joined the women's setup there, and worked in the pathway. So I worked with the under 10s and under 12s girls for a good kind of 3 or 4 years, and then did a little bit as well with the women's team. So got that kind of feel for senior football, and where results kind of matter now, rather than coaching to develop. A lot of it was then coaching to win, and for me that then just became so enjoyable, and you get a bug for that and kind of having that little bit of pressure. And so, and then from there, I had the opportunity to come, work at the Vale. I knew a few people here, and they told me how great it was, and came over 2022, I believe, started coaching here and got a real good feel for the club, and say during the women's team, working within the foundation, and then I've had some good successful and good enjoyable years from there now.
I'll say this tongue in cheek, because then you went from Stoke City to Vale, you finally upgraded, right? Finally proving yourself. Yeah, I'm sure it's the chat. When I guess what do you think was the the moment when you realize like you wanted kind of more of that pressure in like a first team competitive environment? Is I have more of a background as a coach in a development phase, but you still feel, like, yeah, you want to do the right things for the kids to develop, but you show up every match and you still want them to do well and win. But I'm curious, for you then stepping into the point where it's like, hey, winning is what matters. Where was that moment or time where like, hey, this is actually the direction I want to go? Because some coaches decide the other to stick with more of the, foundational development ages.
Yeah, that first couple of weeks when I joined the women's setup, and I think it was the first game we played Leicester and we lost. And I thought, actually, do you know what? This is really, really frustrating now. We lost 2-1 to Leicester. And from that moment, it was kind of like, do you know what? Yeah, this is for me. And it was then a week of work with the other coaches to try and get a win. And I think it took a few weeks to come. I think it took 2-3 weeks to come, and we were losing games or drawing games, and we got that first win. And then that's kind of where that period of time, I would have been 19, 20 years old, and that bug for it came of thinking, right, actually, no, let's work to win games and set training up now for what the next week looks like. And from there, it was kind of, it's like a bug you can't get rid of.
Could you explain for the audience, for everybody listening, we might have people from around the world. I know that the Women's Super League, the top tier of football for women in the UK has been growing tremendously. A lot of the usual suspects that have men's teams have a women's team, and a lot of clubs have really invested in supporting, and we're seeing the growth. And obviously the England women's team, the Lionesses, have had such success on a regional and a global scale in the last 5-6 years, which I remember was not the case back in the day, right? It took time. So could you just explain maybe some of the kind of that setup, what that looks like, the different professional tiers and opportunities to play?
Yeah, so obviously within the UK or within England, more so, you've got obviously WSL, top level of football players who are on full-time contracts and earning some good money for playing now and playing in front of 50,000 people some weekends.
Yeah,
so the growth of that is brilliant. But then next to that, you've got the championship, where it then becomes, it's not obligation to be full-time. Majority of teams are full-time, at tier 2, but you still get some teams that are on part-time contracts, and then you drop down to tier 3. And I think everyone this year at tier 3 bar Forest are part-time. Forest have just gone full-time. I think West Brom are next to do it. And so it's growing slowly, that we're having more kind of full-time clubs, where we're at tier 5, a couple of promotions away from where we want to be. We are part-time. We're in a brilliant position where we've got backing from a professional football club to grow our offer for our players and to try and recruit the best players possible, with the aims of hopefully, within kind of the next 5 to 10 years, being able to offer players contracts and trying to really, really be seen as the same as kind of our men's setup, seen alongside them, that we've got players on contracts that are being paid and for their commitment to the club. But it's growing, and the opportunities for teams and where they're playing and the players they're recruiting, especially at our level, are growing, and that's positive to see. And a lot more football clubs are backing it now, and it always helps having a female owner. Carol, obviously, she comes to every game to support it. We had Darren Moore come to our game at the weekend as well, which is always nice to see. And then you get that kind of, you get that report with the staff, like Darren and that, giving his advice and his opinion on things, and you can really take it to help grow and develop our game as a club anyway.
Brilliant. And for again, those not familiar with the Vale, Carol Shanahan, club owner, Darren Moore, club manager, so of the men's first team, so showing kind of the support and crossover there. I'm curious then for the right now, it's probably, again, as I mentioned, with the growth of the women's team and the growth of the league, it's probably changed. But for in the US, it's so common to have clubs that have a boys and a girls team at every age. However, if I go to Argentina, if you're a girl that enjoys playing, if I go to Portugal and you're a girl that enjoys playing, you're going to play with boys probably till you're maybe 12, maybe 13, then you maybe go to a regional level. So it's still not common, from a grassroots level, for girls to play. What's that climate currently like in the UK, and how would you say that's changed, or what are kind of some opportunities going on at that youth grassroots level?
Yeah, I think the youth level of girls and women's football now is getting to the right. It's definitely the best it's ever been. I know that at the FA they're working on different structures to provide funding for football clubs to run kind of girls academies that are equivalent to the boys side. They currently have ETCs, which are emerging talent centres. So I think there's 72 of them across the country. At the moment, we don't run as an ETC. We've got great competition in the area. We've obviously Stoke have got an ETC, and Crewe have got an ETC that they've had for probably around 10 years now. And so we're smack bang in the middle of them two clubs. So we've got to do a little bit more work to obtain that status of ETC. However, what we're fortunate enough to, again, is to have we've got 10 girls teams, all the way up to under 18s, who we run as close to kind of the boys' academy as we can. They get 1 to 2 training nights a week. They get full Vale kit, training kit, match kits. We've got 2 venues from where they play the games out of. So again, something that they've not had before, of kind of the consistency we're trying to add now. So like I say, the training nights at the same pitch, same time every Monday.
Okay, cool.
Want to train on a Wednesday night, we've got space available outside where the first team trains. So again, as a club, we're trying to do things as best we can to run like the academy, and when we gain that ETC status, we'll be able to do a lot more with it. Teams playing games against other clubs rather than against grassroots clubs, and again growing from there. So it's in a great position because again they want to add more ETCs to the country. So hopefully we'll be able to be the next ones to obtain that, and be able to grow our offer as a club. But
interesting. So the ETC, the Elite Talent Center, is, I guess, kind of like a certification or kind of some status that an existing academy is given, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like a regional center run by the FA. It is an existing academy, and then I guess they have to meet certain standards in order to get that status, and from that some funding and backing.
Yeah, so you get I'm not sure what the financial backing is. Again, I think it depends on club size,
Sure.
how long you've been established as an ETC, but you've got to meet certain criteria. And a lot of it is to kind of develop the player one for your first team. But a lot of the clubs that run these ETCs don't have a professional first team. Whereas in the boys' side, we've got a professional men's team that they feed into for our girls. Okay, they'll go feed into a semi-professional women's team. But what the ETCs, their aim is to, let's build players for your first team and into your senior setup, but let's go build a player who's going to hopefully play for England one day, who's going to come through and play. Cool. And then when you get to that under 14s, under 15s, if you're in an ETC, you can be selected to go to these England camps. So again, they'll recruit there heavily from there, and they don't recruit out of ETC. So a lot of it is to grow the player for England, so that we've got a successful pathway and a successful women's team in 10, 20, 30, 40 years. So we continue that success, but again, so that first teams can have great players, and that the standard of women's football is so high coming in, over the next 5 to 10 years.
Brilliant. Okay, very cool, very cool. I wasn't aware of that initiative from the FA, but really like how they're using like an existing infrastructure and just trying to incentivize clubs to build the women's game that way. Very cool. So you're the assistant, and worked with the first team for the women's at the Vale, but then also you have this role within the community football department within the foundation. So could you explain like a little bit of what the role of the foundation is in general, and then kind of what some of your day-to-day and things looks like in that community football role?
Yeah. So kind of our foundation is built upon the Shanahan vision for Stoke-on-Trent, and more so for Burslem, the town that we're from in Burslem. It's an area that is kind of relatively deprived. It's low income for families, and so we want to, as a foundation, become that support for these local areas. We're not just football as a club. We run so many different initiatives. We've got coaches who go out and teach in schools in the area. We've got coaches who run walking football sessions, run cricket sessions for older generations.
Okay.
As we speak right now, we've got our Golden Valiants on. So it's kind of participants who are 60 and over. So you can be 60 years old, you could be 100 years old, and they'll come and play bingo. They'll come for a cup of tea, biscuits, for a chat as well. So they can come and do absolutely everything. I think we've got 3 sessions of those a week where at any age you can come in and you can just get away from home and meet people and give the older generation that side to be social with people, which in some areas they don't have that opportunity. And again, we provide as well on Friday mornings community cupboards so that people who don't have enough money to go to the shops to buy their shopping, they can come and buy items from at the club to feed themselves for the next week. And again, it's a really, really reduced rate so that they can afford to feed themselves. And so we're here as a purpose for the community. Whatever they need, whatever we can provide, we'll do it for them. More so, my role is to look at the football within the community. So whether that be one of our Monday night or Wednesday night skill centres, whether that be our girls football, grassroots football offer, and then trying to grow that mass participation into then a development route. So if we see someone from those sessions who has talent, we put them into our development centre and then try and feed them into the academy there. So we just want to kind of develop as many players as we can. Hopefully have someone within our pathway go and play for the first team, because that's success for us. But if we're making contact with 200 different participants a week, then that's the biggest success for us as well. That's kind of anything football based that's mass participation and it's not academy football comes through us.
A big thing that's come out through my support of the club, and whether I talk to people like yourself who are within the club or just in the community, is just how important Port Vale is for Burslem, right? And the greater Stoke area, the impact they have, not just on Saturdays at 3:00, right, for the first team at Vale Park, but all the things that you guys are able to do through the foundation. I think that's something I really value. And it's why, tip my hat to the club, and the work that you guys do is just such a impact you can have with football as kind of that gravitational center, but then being able to really connect with people and help them and support them. And I think for the community football aspect, again, like you said, it's great if you get 1 or 2 that can move into the proper academy and show some ability. What are some of those ways that you guys are able to connect with the community? Is it just you push it out on social media? Is it relationships with schools or other organizations? Who are some of those partners? Because I think it's beneficial for people listening if they want to do something similar. I think it's important for clubs to have both, to have the competitive and the community side, and they can support each other. So for anyone listening who might think, okay, how could I make this happen in my community? What's kind of the roadmap that you guys use and some of those key partnerships?
I think for us, definitely looking at sponsorship opportunities or fundraising opportunities for us personally, so that we can fund these sessions and really, really bring the cost down. We don't want to be, there's local companies in our area who charge the same products and charge £3-4 more than us. But we look for those opportunities where having that backing of a professional football club, we can bring in sponsors to really, really reduce our prices. But that's one massive kind of connection or area of development you can have by bringing your prices down and providing a good quality product, because you've got that backing financially from a sponsor or a fundraiser. But again, a massive one in outreach and engaging with people is working with schools. We work closely with our schools and education department, and they will make contact with, probably between them, I think we've got about 10 coaches who work within schools, over 1,000 kids a week. So they come in contact with 1,000 kids a week from different backgrounds, whether that be someone who hasn't got much money at home, someone who's got a great childhood and they get all the new things, and people who don't get anything. We work with absolutely everybody within those schools. So again, they can highlight different players or different participants that will be suitable for the sessions and say, right, actually, do you know what? We can give him a funded opportunity, or we can give them whatever opportunity. We can give everyone the same opportunity, whatever it might be, but they make contact with roughly 1,000 people per week. So they can they kind of refer them to our sessions and help them grow and make them look better. So yeah, if you want to grow partnerships, get into schools, whether you've got to offer things for free for a few weeks, but just to make that contact and to show them what you're all about, that's what we like to do. And like I say, it's worked. We're growing, and we've got sessions on every night now to do with football, which is
amazing,
again perfect for us. Yeah, all kind of within our local community as well. I think we've got 2 sessions that are more than 3 miles away from the stadium. Everything else is either in the buildings, we've got sports halls, or whether it's on the pitches just behind. Everything is within this kind of a mile radius of the stadium. And so, again, that's massive for us that they can come, they can see Vale Park, they can be in Vale Park, and that's massive. Massive.
So cool. So cool. Yeah, is it like I kind of alluded to with, we've got, devices, phones and tablets, and there's so many games to play, digitally or online, and there's other sports. Like, what is it like to see that kid who's coming to his first football, soccer session to start to develop that love for the game? Like, what does that feel like for you guys as coaches to kind of watch and to nurture?
It's brilliant, because we can have a participant come in who's never played football, never kicked a ball before, and all of a sudden 3-4 weeks later they're coming with a smile on their face, football kit on, and ready just to get better. And for us, that's, I know we spoke earlier about the feeling of winning games, but the feeling of giving people that enjoyment when they want to come to your sessions and keep coming back after never playing the sport before. It's brilliant. We run a session on Saturday mornings. We've got our baby boomers session. So it's we work with 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds on a Saturday morning. And a lot of them 2, 3, 4-year-olds that come in and never played football before. And all of a sudden, when they're 6 years old at our mini soccer sessions, they absolutely love football. And all of a sudden, you've worked with them for 3-4 years. They can only just walk, and now they are fully playing football and they're absolutely loving it again. It's just that great feeling. And them kids that come in a little bit older, away from the phones for an hour, they're at the house, they're in a safe environment. Again, it's a great feeling knowing that you're able to provide them that opportunity just to come and play football and connect with a professional football club.
Is it quite common for a lot of clubs in the UK to have these kind of community programs and work in the community like that?
Yeah, every club in the EFL and the Premier League have got an equivalent of a community trust, a foundation, whatever it might be. But it's a charity that supports the club, that are more so a lot of the time the face of the club as well, because we're always out, we're always in schools, we're always wearing a kit wherever we might be. We are kind of a lot of the time the face of the club. So a lot of clubs will have them, support them, and provide them with whatever they need to grow and be successful. Every football club wants to have the best run foundation or charity, so they'll do whatever it takes to support them and whatever they can do. So no matter where that team is, whether it's down in more areas that are affluent areas, down south, whether it be clubs that are further north and have got a real captive area of people who want to play football or do sports or need support, that they're all there for them.
When you said, they're the face of the club, again, coming back to the 3 p.m.s on Saturday, right? Like the match itself for the club is huge, and that's kind of the center point that brings everything together. But you make an interesting point there, saying that, for you and your coaches working in the community foundation, you're going to have so much more access and connection with the community that you're working with. Is there a certain skill set that you need for that? Is it a personality thing? Like what do you guys look like, or what do you guys look for, right, within the club? And similar, you were doing similar with Stoke City, kind of in that community piece as well, and then develop from there. Like, what do you think you would look for in just people in general when you're in that type of environment?
Yeah, you want people that are going to be willing to go above and beyond and kind of put themselves in a brilliant position to do anything to maintain partners, to maintain a great image for the club, and be really, really outgoing of that kind of people where you're outgoing and willing to, like I said, willing to do anything to maintain partners and make the club look good. We look for people that have got high energy, that they're bouncy, they're bubbly. They've always got a smile on the face when they're in these schools and speaking to people. And again, whether that be the teachers in the school, the pupils, or whether that be parents when they're picking up and dropping off kids. It's just that happy and committed kind of people that we want to work within these community trusts and the foundations. And I think every club up and down the country will want to recruit the same kind of people. Sometimes they're hard to find, but when you find some good people, they rub off on other people, and all of a sudden you've got a great group of staff who are outgoing and engaging with as many people as possible.
Well, this week you said you've got your half-term camps. You've got a few hundred kids from the local area in the camps, but then you got to go to training for the women's first team, right? So you're going from that community to competitive within the same day, within a few hours. Like, how do you kind of make that mental shift?
I think it comes with experience. Been doing this for a while, where you could be working with, say, being a big kid, working with kids all day. That in the evening, you're coaching. You're coaching in then a competitive environment. You still try and have that fun element, but you've just got to change something in you that you can't be going around doing whatever you were doing in the day. You can do parts of it. You can have the same energy, but you can't go and speak to them in the same way you're going to speak to kids, and you've got to have that little bit more of a focus of what your aims and objectives are for the day, or for the session, sorry. So you've just got to it comes with experience of, right, fun mode, big kid Henry's gone now. It's okay, I'm still going to have fun. I'm still going to come with my great energy and everything like that, but I'm going to have a real focus on what I want to deliver tonight and what I want to achieve, ready to build for Sunday's game. So it's just having that kind of switch where you've got that couple of hours in between. You plan your session, and in that planning process, you go, right, I'm going to have to be like this tonight. And all of a sudden you get it out your head, and you just become that kind of different character again. So yeah, really, really adapt.
When you look at your work with the women's first team, right? Like, you guys are fifth tier right now in the UK. Yeah. Is that right? I got that right. So, but you guys still have 2 sessions a week at least, right? Match. I know you've been in multiple competitions this year, from like the local kind of provincial area cup to the FA Cup to obviously like your league. What is your like preparation and work like as a coaching staff? Like, what does that staff consist of? And then what's kind of your weekly connection, meetings, preparation look like, given that it is a part-time environment?
Yeah, we've got a great group of staff. There's kind of 3 of us who do the on the field delivery, working with the outfield players. We've got a goalkeeper coach who again works with we've got 4 goalkeepers across kind of 18s up to first team, so they'll go and work with those. And so the goalkeeper coaches, I'm not a massive I have not got massive knowledge on goalkeeping, and none of us have, apart from the goalkeeper coaches. So we kind of let them deliver what they need to deliver. They do their own analysis on the goalkeeping. So there's, say, 4 of us who do the overall delivery, including the goalkeeper coach. We've got a gym, kind of like a strength and conditioning coach who comes in, works once every other week, so that we can have that good balance of time on the grass and time in the gym. So like a Tuesday night will look like, if we want to be on the grass, we'll just go fully on the grass. Some nights we'll do gym for 45 minutes in the gym here at the stadium, then come in and do a little bit of technical work in the halls for half an hour, whether it be small-sided games, which with futsal, so a heavier football. That's kind of what our Tuesdays look like. But then on a Wednesday, we'll really go tactical and prepare for the weekend's games, base it off of what's just happened from the previous game, what the upcoming game looks like. We all pitch in and do our own analysis from the weekend just gone, but we also look into kind of our opposition analysis as well ourselves. And that's something that I'm trying to personally try to take a bigger lead on this year, is looking at the opposition. What do they do? Where are they going to try and exploit us, and where can we go and exploit them? So we've got a good group of staff who understand that the level we're in a great position. But we all know that we've got to dig in and do bits that, if you're at a professional club, wouldn't be our role. But it's only going to make you better. It's only going to make you stronger. And it's going to benefit the 22 players that we have within our squad.
What are some of those things that really help you guys to bring in, better and better players when you can't? It's not as simple as we'll just pay you more, right?
Yeah. We know that some clubs who are in tier 3 now were at a similar position to us 3-4 years ago. And they went down that route of, right, we're going to pay we're going to pay players. They've not got the same badge behind them that we do. You know, they've got a non-league badge behind them, but they've go, do you know what, we've got this money this year, we're going to pay players and we're going to recruit better. And you know, that's always a great way of doing it for instant success. But with that, the quality doesn't come. But we've got teams in our league, and I always like looking at them because they're a pro club. They've got a pro club behind them. They've got some great people that I've worked with before behind the scenes. Shrewsbury are probably the team that we aspire to be like. You know, they're established in Tier 5. We're new in Tier 5, but they've got a kind of a great setup with media, with strength and conditioning coaches, with access to other opportunities for the coaches and for the players. And so we look at clubs like that and go, they run really, really well, and we want to be like that. We're not far off of it in terms of how we run. A few little things that we need to change, but we're happy to admit that we're not at that level. But again, there's some clubs in our league that don't have the same backing or same support, and they haven't got that name, you know, that behind them to go and work with. You know, if you've got the opportunity to work with a club that's in the professional men's league, people are going to go and do that more so than going and work with a team that might be a position or two higher in the league, but they've not got a name behind them. And we try and use that to our advantage as well. In terms of kind of, you know, like you say, the recruitment side of things and having that second part of the question, with this, we would say with the badge and with our offer, we've been able to recruit players from a higher division. We've just had Lexi Harrison join us 12 months ago. She was in Tier 3 at Wolverhampton Wanderers on a paid contract. She's now kind of come to us from being at Halifax in Tier 3 in the Northern divisions to us in the Midlands divisions at Tier 5, because one, it's a different environment. It's ran similar to the team she was at before, but again, she's not getting paid, but she's a local player and she wants to come into an environment where she knows she's going to be successful. She knows she's going to enjoy it, and that she's got some great people in and around her to help her own development as well.
Yeah, very cool. I think it's when you say that, it reminds me a little bit of like when I talk to NCAA, like university coaches in the US, where they can offer scholarships towards academics, but like you can't directly pay. So, but you know, it's a way of compensation, but then it also comes down to facilities, to support staff, all of those things. But there you have the opportunity to win your conference, maybe go to that like national tournament. But with you guys, it's like you have the opportunity to actually go up a tier, go up a level, you know, and move there too, which is obviously the dream.
And our league position this year isn't kind of the one we'd want to be in at the moment. We've got a few games in hands that could take us into a position that puts us in a better position for next season. But we've had other successes. You know, this year we got to the first round proper of the FA Cup, something we'd never done before.
Awesome.
Financially, it's a great reward as well because we get we get more money, we get more funding from the FA. So all of a sudden we can go and reinvest that back into our own running of the club, and it makes things better. But again, we've had a really successful regional cup run, so our county cup. We are in the county Vars final. We play Stoke City's under 23s in April. We progress into another competition alongside that, and we get the opportunity to play against Stoke City's first team. We know which will be difficult, but again, for us, that's a success. You know, 3-4 years ago, we never would imagine being in a cup final, you know, getting a promotion like we did last year, being in a cup final, playing against Tier 3 sides, Stoke, and being able to hopefully go there and be competitive. That for us is huge as well. And hopefully from that, we hold ourselves in a great way, and we can recruit some really, really good players and some really, really good staff from it as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, man, Potteries Derby. Sounds like a couple opportunities coming up. That's big. That's huge. I'm curious to, you know, again, we're using the men's team as the measuring stick, but what does like the match day experience look like for you guys? What is the average attendance usually look like? And I think tied to that is, you know, basically how you're able to kind of spread the word of the club within the community, you know, of the women's team, and especially as creating these role models for young girls in the Stoke area who, you know, will 10, 12, whatever years time will hopefully be in the first team as well.
Yeah. Well, with the role model stuff, we've all within our girls section, we've got Like I said, the 10 teams, a handful of our coaches are players as well for the first team. So we've got Sean McHugh, who coaches our under-11s. She's vice captain, plays every week, and unbelievable footballer. Her under-11s look at her and think, wow, like she's my role model. They'll go and get shirts with Sean's name put on the back. They'll do things like that.
Cool.
And we create role models that way, whether they go in to do schools delivery, we put them on player appearances alongside the men. Last week we had Sean McHugh, Daisy Anderson right in with Ronan Curtis, Nathan Chislett doing a football camp visit. And so we try and create role models through that by putting them in the shop window, giving them the opportunities to coach, giving them the opportunities to do player appearances where they can go make a name for themselves as well. They're on the radio weekly. We get segments on BBC Radio Stoke.
Very cool.
So within the local community, we can kind of put our players' names out there, and hopefully from that, like we say, build attendances and grow our attendances. Something that I've seen over the 4 years that I've been here now is that our attendances have gone from maybe we get mums and dads showing up to watch the kids play,
right.
First team, friends, family, get anywhere between 20, 30 people coming to watch. Now anywhere at home game, we're getting around 100 people to come and watch. They all pay £4 or £5 to come and get in. And again, that £400 or £500 that we make off of a match day, we reinvest right back into the team to help it grow and help it get better. So we're seeing attendances grow. And again, it helps when we get games on at Vale Park. We had an FA Cup game where we had 750 people there watching us. And again, it's little bits like that where you think, do you know what? It's growing, it's getting better. And so
for sure,
once we get more,
those like the landmark moments, right? Of okay, and then that's where that impact happens at the next generation too, or even among the current fans of like, hey, I'm sure that Potteries Derby, right, is going to have a good turnout because it's people take any chance they can to get a piece of that.
Yeah, we hope that'll have a good turnout and that it'll be a positive turnout and a positive result for us. And no matter what the final score is, if we play well and we hold ourselves well, we'll be really, really happy with that. But we just hope that there's none of that kind of rivalry like there is in men's football that come with it. And we hope it's just a great environment and a great atmosphere at the game. And again, whether it helps us grow, it'll be excellent. Hopefully it won't be the last kind of Potteries Derby that we have over the next couple of years.
For sure.
Between the women's teams, but also, like I say, between the men's teams, because hopefully it will become possible at the men's level as well soon, that Potteries Derby.
Exactly. Yeah, maybe a League One meeting in the next year or two. We'll see.
Fingers crossed the position and where their position is. Stranger things have happened.
Yeah, would be wild. Awesome, man. No, it's really exciting to hear. And again, I think that's such an area that women's football, especially the youth level, there's so much potential to grow there. I think around the world, I think that's a really big piece that is exciting to see, and it's just great to get more people and young girls involved in the game. So, great to see then that the women's first team is being supported, and the fact that you guys have 10 teams within the academy is brilliant too. You have like a legitimate pipeline as well. Really great to hear. But I want to pivot a little bit here towards some of our fun segments, right? To get a little bit back into kind of some of your big picture, heroes and stuff in football. And one way to do that is with our all-time five-a-side segment. Now you do have to select yourself somewhere in that five-a-side team. So you've got to be in there. So you really get four. You're somewhere and you get four choices. So Henry, what's your all-time five-a-side?
I'm gonna go. The goalkeeper is probably the hardest choice for me, but I think I'm gonna go in goal. It's got to be Iker Casillas again. Grow up watching football.
Okay, Saint Iker. All right.
Yeah, he can play with his feet as well, so we'll put him there. I think I'll put myself at centre back, just one, because I'd rather have three great midfielders and attackers who are ahead of me.
In front of me,
I can give them the ball, let them do what they want to do, and then I haven't got to do as much running as well, so that always helps. So I'll put myself at centre back. I'm going to go for probably, again, if we're looking at five-a-side, it's got to be, Ronaldinho. Put him in midfield again. Really, really technical. A great player. I'll go as like a left midfielder, left forward, whatever it might be. I'll put Thierry Henry in there because, again, what a player.
Yeah, yep.
Um,
Second Henry on the squad. Yep.
on the squad, yeah, I'll let him have number 14. And then I think it's striker. We'll put a Vale route in there. I'll put Jaden Stockley in there from Vale. Again,
Okay,
a
good
goalscorer.
shout.
If he's got Omri, Ronaldinho alongside him, in this five-a-side team, and he's got me at the back feeding him balls, I think he'll be all right. I think he'll get quite a few goals in that team. So we'll put Stockley in there as well.
For sure. Great. We talked about Root earlier, like that finisher in and around the box. And you guys can maybe open up the aerial game too, which most teams don't have that option in five-a-side. It could just be chipping balls up to him and the other guys will run off. So yeah, great side, and appreciate you putting a current Vale player in there for sure.
Got to be.
I think there's a couple. Ronaldinho we've had before. I think Henri is a first-timer. Casillas is a first-timer. And certainly Jaden Stockley is among previous guests, and they're all-time five-a-side.
He'll have to try and get one of the Vale players on and see if he'll put Jaden Stockley in there as well.
Get him a second nomination.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And so we go from the fun one to kind of moving in. I think we hinted at this a little bit throughout, but how would you complete the sentence because football?
Because football. Because football, I don't want to say is life, but because football is fun, enjoyable for all.
Yeah, awesome, man. It's cool. Your role, you're seeing all the elements of that fun. Competition can be fun, right? The need to win, it's like you have that sinking feeling, but there's nothing like that when the final whistle blows and you get those 3 points. And then the role you're in within the community football, like, and just being able to use the game as a way to give kids like a great outlet to keep them healthy, to help them make friends, and to just enjoy this great game. Well, Henry, thanks so much for being on. Really enjoyed it. What's a good way for people to follow you, to connect if they'd like to, and get in touch?
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter as my handle is my handle is Coach Henry K. Or if anyone wants to reach out to me via email about anything that, whether we want to work on stuff online, whether we want to work internationally with other clubs, you've got a great outreach. Email me. It's henry.knight@port-vale.co.uk.
Awesome. We'll put both of those, the link in the description, as well as, the women's team page too for the Vale, so everybody can follow along and keep track. And to everybody listening, watching, thanks for being here. Hope you guys learned something. Hope you can take some of this information and messages, I think, especially about kind of the versatility and the impact football can have. Even if it's not necessarily a football session, Golden Valiants, bingo is not football, but it's still, the club's able to put that on. So I think it's amazing.
Next time you're in the UK, we'll get you onto a Golden Valiant session, and we'll get you in there doing the bingo calling. Exactly.
I was gonna say, I don't want to play. I'm sure it gets way too heated in there. Way too competitive. Yeah. Thanks for watching and listening. We'll see you guys on the next episode. Peace.